Let's start with the former President John Dramani Mahama, and he says he will not retract his do-or-die affair comments he made yesterday in Techiman, describing it as an idiomatic expression. According to him, his comments was directed to NDC members who would be expected to discharge their duties at the polling stations. He explained the NDC would not have to go to the Supreme Court when the next elections are stolen again, but ensure the right thing is done at the polling station. He spoke on Midday FM in Sunyani.
Okay.
Over Africa, your proverbs, your bube.
Sure.
And you come with some young country in the straight format. And so you're the best and the back. In English, your idiomatic expressions.
Sure.
Free school in terms of say idiomatic expressions as here. Do or die means a critical assignment you have, and you must do the needful or perish. And so you must do the needful. I say, make us say, and this is me and train and go Supreme Court to be. There was here a year of polling station and the collation center. I was here, and so I don't retract. The next election for NDC is going to be a do or die affair.
So you do the right thing?
You must do the right thing at the polling station.
Well, the former president was rather speaking on Moonlight FM. Would stay with him a while longer because he's charged traditional authorities to speak out against wrongs being perpetuated by people in government. He made this call during a meeting with members of the Bono East Regional House of Chiefs in Techiman. Nasabit has a wrap of the former president's visit.
President John Dramani Mahama began his tour of the Bono East region with a meeting with the Council of Zongo Chiefs and Imams at the Techiman Central Mosque, where he thanked the Muslim community for the overwhelming support in the December polls.
And I say, I didn't move, I say, religion, Yajitum, say, Obia de Mawa, or so done Panasi. They themselves over Bono East on Swan. Zongo, I have any Zongo for Mokahu and NDC, any one day, our Bono East. And they say, a Bono East. Now, young fine, now, Sienna, the sea, I have for so any man for so. Some of Mama Zongo Punina, I want to Chiman, I want Bono East. Say, no, we are my, and no, you this one. Nature said, and I say, no, young come to see.
Mr. John Dramani Mahama also had a brief encounter with the Christian community here at the St. Paul's Catholic Church, where he again thanked the church for the prayers before, during and after the polls. From the two major religious groups, Mr. Mahama met the Bono East Regional House of Chiefs. Here, the 2020 NDC flag bearer bemoaned the unfortunate incidents that characterized the elections and emphasized that traditional authorities ought to speak out against wrongs being perpetrated by those in authority.
Your bonnet and your papa. Now, yet to be neutral between good and evil. Say no kind no. You must say, you say, now you're not in your politics. But say, I dare corner bonnet. I was so mokan. If you say, assassin, you're more there. More and I brought for better, more say, more share, yes, so, and son I brought for the buying by it. And I buy for Abbey Edge wa brought for no home. It is still more any Nipano nette. Say, and your man call ye not Nipanete.
President of the Regional House of Chiefs, Pimampim Yao Kakbrese, lauded the former president for seeking redress at the courts.
So that's Anasabit's reports. Let's go on the grounds now and speak to correspondent Precious Semevo, who is in Sunyani now. Precious, tell us where the former president is at the moment and what is he up to?
Right, so the former president currently is at Elizabeth Hotel, where he's having a closed-door meeting with the clergy in the municipality and beyond. But before that, he had a little over an hour radio interview on a Sunyani-based radio station, Moonlight FM, where he expressed his opinion on a lot of national issues, particularly the comment he made yesterday in Techiman about the do or die, where he sought to explain what he exactly meant. Now, Mr. Mahama said that what he said is directed to NDC party members, that they cannot rely on the Supreme Court to do what they are supposed to do at the polling centers and then coalition centers. They will have to do the needful or get perished. So his do or die comment is directed to the party members to do the needful at the polling station. And he said he was not going to retract what he said because it's an idiomatic expression which has a meaning, and he will hold on to that because that is what the party will do in the next election. And from here, quickly, he will be having a meeting with the regional chief imam as well as the regional house of chiefs before later in the day have a meeting with the party members in the region.
All right, Precious, I was just quickly going to ask you when the tour will end.
In the Bono region, it's a one-day tour, so after today, that will be it in the Bono region.
Thank you very much, Precious. Semavo is our correspondent, bringing us up to speed with events related to former President John Dramani Mahama. Away from that, well, police at Asante Bekwai have arrested 3 teenagers in connection with the murder of a final-year student of Opong Memorial Senior High School. 19-year-old final-year visual arts student Richard Appiah died of stabbed wounds on Saturday after an attack. Here's the latest. While you're still watching Joy News today, we return to our earlier story where police in Asante Bekwai have arrested some 3 teenagers in connection with the death of a senior high school student, 19-year-old, in that particular place. And Ohimin Teria, my colleague, is joining with some more details. Ohimin, who are these 3 persons who have been arrested?
Yes, Mama V, these are teenagers aged between 17 and 15. And we are told by the police that they are all juveniles, and 2 of them are relatives. So 2 brothers are involved. And beyond the 3 suspects who have been picked, 3 others are being sought by the Kokofu police. So behind me is the Kokofu police station, where the suspects are being kept. A while ago, I had the opportunity to see the suspects who had just returned from Bekwai. They were scheduled to appear before the Bekwai Magistrate Court, but we are told the court sitting will not happen today, but it will happen tomorrow. So the 3 suspects are Solomon Unyama, JHS 3 student, Richard Nkrumah, also a JHS 2 student, and Abet Opoku, a JHS 3 student. So Solomon and Richard are the 2 brothers who are in police custody with their friend Abet as we speak now.
And Ohimin, do we know how they were involved in this issue?
Yes, from the information we have picked from police, the indication is that all these 3 juveniles were around, and they are connected to the murder of the final year student of Opong Memorial Senior High School. But as to how connected they are, the police are tight-lipped, except to say that we should wait and then pick the information from the court. But I have been nosing around. The information I pick is that one of them has confessed to police that indeed he is the one who stabbed the deceased, who is a final year visual arts student, whose father is also a security officer at Opon Memorial Senior High School here in Kokofu. But police say they've gathered enough information to aid their investigations as they look out for 3 others who are on the run. I've also been finding out how these 3 suspects were arrested, and the information from police is that because they are juveniles, they collaborated with their parents. At the time of the arrest, they've managed to run away from the community, but police were given information by witnesses and then some people who tip off police, and then with the support of their parents, the suspects were arrested and they are in custody as we speak.
And Ohimim, finally, has there been a reaction from the family of the 19-year-old?
Yes, the family of the 19-year-old Richard Appiah, at the time we went to the family house, did a react, calling on police to be swift in their arrest. So for now, they are happy that police has been swift in arresting the suspects involved in the killing of their relative. The last time I spoke to them, they were very, very happy, except that they will say we should wait till the suspects are presented in court. Once the suspects appear in court, they want to go public with whatever information that they have. But they are very grateful to police for heeding to their calls to arrest the suspects in what they called swift manner. So they are very, very, very grateful.
Ohimim Teria will leave it here. Ohimim Teria reporting live there from the Kokofu police station in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. He's on our security desk. Now, as a means gaining and maintaining public trust in COVID-19 vaccines and vaccination, which is as essential as the effectiveness of vaccines itself, the Techiman Traditional Council has promised to lead the sensitization campaigns, which aims at building public confidence. They call on the people to accept the new vaccines in order to help curb the increasing number of cases recorded in the municipality. Correspondent Anas Sabit engaged some of the chiefs during a vaccination exercise conducted by the Regional Health Directorate in Techiman and came through with the following report.
With the Techiman municipality contributing to about 40% of the cumulative COVID-19 cases recorded in the Bono East region, there was mad rush here at the Omanhene's Palace for both the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. The people here, mainly traditional authorities, are excited at the opportunity and promises to be ambassadors for the exercise. Nana Ekwia Sewa Bonso is the Mahama chairman of the Techiman Traditional Council.
I am
really excited that we are here today at the Omanhene's Palace taking our jabs of the COVID-19 vaccine. I've taken both the first and second jabs without any effect, and from today, any opportunity I'll get, I'll sensitize the people on the need to accept the vaccines. For the Kentenhene and the Benhene of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Osu and Chibosiakun, the council's decision to take the jabs will serve as a modeling for the people in the society.
When something like this happens, we have to lead as an example within the society, and that's what we are showcasing today. We are urging everyone, we're pushing that anywhere you get opportunity in taking the vaccine, you do it, and it will help you, it will help the kingdom. That's why all the Traditional Council members are trooping in to take the vaccine, just to tell our people, our natives, our indigenous people who live with us, to also do same. It's very important and it's very necessary.
Bono East Regional Minister Mr. Kwesi Edujan expressed satisfaction with the public interest and says that it is a good sign in the fight against COVID.
I think there is an overwhelming interest in the vaccination. You quite remember that a couple of weeks ago we met and we declared, REXEC declared this virus as a threat to security of the Bono East region. And as such, we're going to embark on whatever that is necessary for us to reduce the acceleration of the virus, which seemed to have been the case for the previous weeks or months. So this is a sign of the enthusiasm that the people have. So we're going to enforce it more and more to make sure that we attain the target that we have set, to be where we were before we became a hub for the COVID-19.
Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Fred Admakobwatin, called on the people to report any untoward side effects to the nearest health facility after taking the jabs for immediate attention.
We have made arrangements for people to report any untoward symptoms, signs, or feelings they will get after getting the vaccines. We need people to report. All the sites that we are giving the vaccines also, we have made medicines available for emergencies. If people have emergencies and therefore they need to be attended to, all these measures have been put in place. So I'll use this platform to tell people that any kind of way untoward signs, uneasiness that they feel, that they think is related to the vaccine, the only thing they can do is report.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
And back in Accra, motorists on the Tesano-Alajo stretch will now freely use the road on any rainy day without fear of flooding. This comes after officials of the urban roads and the assemblyman for the area deployed a team of workers to silt the gutters along the stretch. My colleague Judith Awachitando was at the scene and now reports.
It's yet another day here on the Tesano-Alajo stretch. I was at this exact spot and the gutters here were filled to the brim with sand. But today you can see for yourselves. Officials sent in a team to silt the gutters here, meaning that if it ever rains again, the roads will no longer be flooded.
Senator, when I say Roberts, no, there's a small pipe.
This is the situation at hand. When the plastics get in contact with the pipes, the water is unable to flow freely through the gutter as it should, especially when the rain comes with a strong wind. This causes the flood. We were called by our superiors to come and fix this issue. We are under the assembly.
And assemblyman, and I know, or contact here and I buy pipe. No, okay, for now, only there. Ya quite now, you know, into me, no, yeah, my dream say, Anka.
For now, we have fixed the road, so I suggest someone is tasked to do 3 months routine checks to ensure the pipes are clean.
Routine, into all the time, no, inside your be clean. Now, anytime since so twa, about to me,
Well, finally, motorists will conveniently use this stretch without worrying about floods. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Judith Awachitando.
Now, housing agencies are largely unregulated here in Ghana, leaving many people in search of houses at the mercy of their high and fluctuating charges. Rent charges are a part of a myriad of problems in the country's housing sector. Joy News is readying up for the annual Habitat Fair, a one-stop shop for everything housing. Ahead of that, my colleague Justice Beidou spent some time with a housing agent to understand their work. Here's his report.
Eugene Kumsen is a housing agent. He has no office and works from his chamber hall apartment inside La, a suburb of Accra. He charges 50 cedis for a day, showing people around available houses. When you have a place to settle on, he takes 10% of the total amount that will be paid to the owner of the property.
50 Ghana, but for somebody to come out by giving you 50 Ghana, some even have been asking, any market share I get 50 Ghana. No, them. It's part of my work. It's a principle. You have to follow it.
I am following Eugene and one of his clients to see a place he intends to rent out.
It's a real hassle. Almost every day I'll have to be out meeting agents.
Peace Bomasan has recently landed a job in Accra.
Agent fee They call it, some of them call it viewing fee. Taking you to the place, you have to pay some fees. Some take 50 cedis, others will say 60 or 70. The 2 years will be how much?
She used to live in Wa, the Upper West regional capital, where she says she was paying 1/10 of the money she is being asked to pay for a property that is half the size of its former place.
If you should consider the work you do and other things you have to be doing, and then having to be paying this huge amounts of money for rent, it's just so unbelievable.
Some of the accounts used to say that, yeah, Asantefo, yes, can cocoa. You see, for Greater Accra, yeah, what cocoa na a dime. Yeah, because everywhere you go in Greater Accra, room is very expensive.
Peace is not alone. With a housing deficit of 1.2 million, thousands of other people like her are out there struggling for a roof over their head. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Accra.
Well, if you're looking for a mortgage or a piece of land to build that dream house, then look no further. Head to the Achimota Retail Center to meet the people who can enable this dream come true. General Manager in charge of sales and marketing at the multimedia group, Max Fuga, tells patrons they should be ready for attractive deals. He spoke earlier to my colleague, Benjamin Akako.
This year, we've increased the number of clinics we do because previously it has been Achimota Mall, that we extended it to the West Hills Mall. But we've added the Junction Mall to it this year so that we can take care of the people coming from Tema. They don't need to drive all the way to Achimota to have their questions and their anxieties resolved and answered. So we are going to do 3 of the clinics. This one this weekend. The next one is coming the next weekend, 18th and 19th at the West Hills Mall. And then the third one is 2nd and 3rd October at the Junction Mall. Okay, this is again, like I said, to provide people the opportunity to meet the industry players and engage them. Then the main event, which is 27th to 31st of October, the good thing that this year we started to do 5 days instead of the more 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So again, it's by popular demand. And again, we've realized that people have a lot of questions that are not answered within the 3-day period. Right. People want to engage clients. They are not able to do that. So we've extended it to 5 days this time. So that at least everybody else will have an opportunity to engage the service providers and have their questions answered. And then they can be able to make an informed decision. For me, again, the debate is home ownership. As our theme for this year is home ownership, to build or to buy. Get there, talk to the players, get your questions answered, and make an informed decision whether you want to buy or you want to build.
You're watching Joy News today. Stay with us. We'll come back with more. Well, thanks for staying with us here on Joy News today. And let's go to the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, where there's a demolition exercise underway, causing a lot of tension, we understand. My colleague Manuel Kranting joins us with the very latest. Manuel, we understand there's some form of pushback from the squatters. Bring us up to speed.
Also, Mama, the exercise, which took off about 2 hours ago, essentially got some of the squatters around this particular railway line just off the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. They were pushing back in an attempt to prevent the Accra Metropolitan Assembly environmental health officers from shutting down a mill, which was operating illegally right along this, railway line. Indeed, their defense was that there's a lack of employment within the area, and for a lot of them who are squatters, they've come up with innovative ways of making ends meet without having to, actually commit crimes. And so they were not going to have the AMA officers, shut down the mill. And the mill is what you see currently in your shot under that particular shed. Indeed, under really deteriorating conditions, we saw mold forming inside the canopy and so on and so forth. I'll just bring in Mr. Joseph Asitanga, who's head of the environmental health unit of the AMA, to bring us up to speed with today's exercise. So, there was a pushback. They made a point that indeed you cannot shut it down when they don't have alternative livelihoods. You did not have any of that. Why was that?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners. I think that nobody is above the laws of AMA. And for that matter, the country bylaws that are instituted or stipulated in the Constitution. The laws are very clear. And the laws are binding everybody, no matter your structure, your status, or whoever you find yourself, wherever you find yourself. So environmental health and sanitation, it is a law that is established in the 1960s, early before I was born. And the laws are there to guide them. And nobody can live without complying with environmental health and sanitation bylaw. When you go contrary to the laws of environmental health and sanitation, then we will catch up with you. And that is the essence today.
So why are you seem to be operating in isolation so that, well, they make a point of not having alternative livelihoods. Well, the city authorities must be concerned about this also because you shut it down. And what is the alternative?
We are not operating in isolation. It is a strategic way of enforcing the sanitation bylaw. This is a flashpoint area. If we all take our mind back to June 10th, okay? June 10th came to meet us in Ghana, and it was the worst devastating condition that we all find ourselves in. And the whole thing started within the circle jurisdiction here. We have just simply ignored what has happened during June 10th. So therefore, the consistency at which we visit circle informs the people that circle is not a safe place for you to sleep in the open. Circle is not a safe place for you to operate business close to the railway. Circle is not a safe place for you to operate any type of business where it is not approved. So when we come, circle becomes the transit point for every economic activity. And that is the reason why circle is concentrated with all the problems that we are facing today.
So indeed, what are the takeaways from this particular exercise today?
The takeaways, one, when we got here, one is that we have gone through all, we've served 4 notices. We disarmed one grinding mill. It's a blending mill, where under the conditions under which that the mill is operating, is so unhygienic to the mind of anybody who comes to buy food to eat. Based on that, we have disarmed the mill, and we ask the person to make sure that he tidy up the place. We will come for re-inspection. If it's deemed necessary for us to re-operationalize him, we will re-operationalize him. And then we arrested other people who were inciting the public against the work we were doing, because they were all coming massing up in their numbers. They could have outwitted us. And for the help of the security present, we were able to arrest some of them. As of now, they are in custody in our vehicle. We are going to send them to our central cells to put them there and then caution them against tomorrow incitement when we are found working here. We have served the notices. The notices are made up of abatement notices, adulterated grains. We have confiscated. We destroyed some of them, and others who were lacking the medical screening certificates to ascertain their fitness of health. We have served them notices to comply to meet the standard that allow them to operate within the metropolis.
I'm grateful. And so that is Joseph Asitanga. He's head of the environmental health unit of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, bringing us details of the exercise that has just been undertaken along the roadways at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. So if you can hear me, Namabi, from here, this is exactly the situation.
Thank you very much. Manuel Kranting is my colleague reporting live there from Circle. Still ahead, we'll bring you some business, sports, and show business news. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Ghana's international reserves, excluding gold, are expected to grow by 16.8% this year to $9.5 billion. This is a revision of an earlier forecast by Fitch Solutions, which pegged the end-year reserves at $8.8 billion. Charles Nixon Yeboah has more.
According to the research arm of ratings agency Fitch's August monitor report, the reserves will be equivalent to 4.2 months of import cover. This means the country will have a little above 4 months to take care of import with the foreign exchange reserves when there is a shock. However, the reserves is lower than the Bank of Ghana's estimate of $11.02 billion in the first half of this year. But the expected growth in the reserves from last year could help minimize the recent depreciation of the cedi. That will nevertheless depend on the Bank of Ghana's policy of using the reserves to intervene regularly on the forex market. The increase in the reserves is as a result of robust global growth, which has triggered demand for the country's export commodities, particularly oil and cocoa. Fitch Solutions also said exports are likely to pick up relatively swiftly on the back of rebounding growth in major markets, notably China, which is one of Ghana's single largest export market. This is expected to result in an improved terms of trade. The foreign reserve is expected to rise further to $10.6 billion next year, equivalent to 4.3 months of import cover.
All right, turning to other news, the Northern Poultry Farmers Association has lamented the astronomical increase in feed costs in the poultry industry. Addressing a press conference in Tamale, the Northern Regional Chairman of the association, George Dasa, said within a year, the cost of maize, the main ingredient of the feed, has risen from 130 cedis per 100 kilogram to between 320 and 350 Ghana cedis. There's more in this report.
Poultry farmers continue to raise concerns over cost of feeding the birds they say is affecting the industry. It is against this backdrop that the Northern Region branch of the Poultry Farmers Association held a press conference to drum home their demands. Addressing the news conference, the Northern Regional Chairman of the group, George Dasa, said some of his members are folding up whilst others are selling their birds to buy feed to feed the rest. He wondered why Ghana's neighbors were allowed to come in and buy a lot of maize when the poultry industry needed the maize.
Within a space of about 12 months, the cost of the main ingredient of the feed component, that is maize, has risen from 130 Ghana cedis per 100 kg to between 320 to 350 or even more per 100 kg, depending on where you are getting it. Members of the press, is it not curious that through the flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs, cost of inputs are subsidized using the Ghanaian taxpayers' money? The program became successful because maize farmers had more yield than before. Yet, poultry farmers who consume more than half of the total maize produced in the country are finding it difficult to get the maize to feed our birds. Even when you get it, the price is so high that one wonders if there was no subsidy at all, the maize price in this country would have been a no-go area. That the Planting for Food and Jobs was successful. Maize farmers had increased yield, yet poultry farmers find it difficult to get the commodity. That occasioned the issuing of a permit by government through the Ministry of Agri to import 60,000 metric tons of yellow maize.
He called on egg sellers and consumers to reason with them as they consider increasing the prices of eggs between 18 and 24 cedis.
Well, finally, some news coming through to us. Latest figures from the Statistical Service concerning our inflation rate for the month of August pegs it at 9.7%. We'll have more of that coming up on the marketplace at the top of the hour. Up next, sports.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the sports segment with me, Hooray Kuampofo. The Ghana League Clubs Association, also known as GALCA, has introduced a new competition in women's football in Ghana called the First Ladies Cup. The competition is set to kick off on the 21st of November this year, and according to the chairman of the association, Kujo Fianu, the idea is to honor the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo and also help take girls off the street. My colleague Charles Macaris has the rest of the story.
The maiden edition of this tournament was formalized by the welfare body of Galka. Ahead of the Independence Day celebration in March this year, Chief Executive Officer of Hazakis Ladies, Evelyn Insiasare, who doubles as board member of Asante Kotoko, called on Galka to introduce the First Ladies Cup in honor of the wife of the president, Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Galka is now set to roll out the first ever Ladies Cup in honor of the certain president's wife, after which subsequent competitions will honor wives of certain presidents in the future.
As you are no doubt aware, the Women Legion of Football Clubs joined Galka a couple of months ago, and we are talking about gender balance. And since we have a match that we play for the president every year, it is proper for us to fix something in there for the ladies. We are using this as a rallying point. Women football has a lot to do for Ghana. We also have a lot to do to push them. And you need to know the doors you need to open to get those push for women football. The women, when given the necessary support, will bring in laurels just as the men are also doing. It is on record that Black Queens, the senior female football team, qualified for the World Cup long before the Black Stars.
President of Galka also sees this initiative as a way of getting girls off the streets and as a means of rallying support for women's football.
We believe that a lot of our ladies that we see now as porters, we see in the traffic lights, hawking. We believe that if they are given the necessary push, we will be getting more of the Alberta Sakis, Adwabayo, and the rest. Football can take them off the streets. Who knows, we may get the next Black Queen coach coming from the ladies that I've spoken about. So we think that the First Lady, being the mother of the nation, we need to catch her attention for her to support women football. So we felt that there must be something. You don't go always in hand with pan in hand begging. You need to come up with some innovation so that will help draw the president's attention. And we think that if we honor her by playing a match where that day is going to be all women affair, we will bring in the girls' schools. We are thinking, depending on how successful this competition will be.
That will be all for Joy News today. Do log on to myjoyonline.com for more news. My name is Mama Thanks for your company.